This is an aluminum casting with a hollow portion in it that is a little bit difficult to cast, just because the core can't be supported by much of anything, or there's really no areas for it to gas out, meaning the gas that's created when the hot metal surrounds the sand core. You can see I cut this one in half just to see how it turned out, really. Actually, I made 3 of these. I only needed 1, and 2 of them got destroyed. One of them didn't make it, the other one got destroyed because I cut it in half. But anyway, here's the core. That's the sand piece that makes the hollow portion. Those stainless steel tubes have some insulating compound on them to keep them from sticking to the aluminum. So that's all that supports the core, and all that lets the gases out. Otherwise, it would, there's potential for it to blow up like a balloon and then have some really thin spots. This is the pattern, and these are the core prints. You can see they look like dowels glued to the pattern. That's actually what they are. It's a pretty nice pattern. It was made by a guy that was really a fanatic about the flathead Ford intake manifolds, and did a good job. Although I mounted it on the board and added the risers and the gating. Those risers, the lumps will get cut off there. Those wooden pieces. Yeah, that's for shrinkage for the aluminum, basically to feed the casting. So this is some zip slip pattern coating. It just makes the sand not stick to the pattern. At least it helps. A good coating on both sides of it, and it lasts for quite a while. There's the pattern mounted in the flask. It's between the cope and the drag of the flask. That means the top and the bottom. So I'll pack wet sand in there, or moist sand and clay, and it'll stick together just well enough to hold its shape. Put a first layer through a screen on there, and then I can just shovel all the rest of it in. What you don't see here is I have a pneumatic rammer, and I ram it into a nice solid mass. And then here I'm squeezing it with the machine. It makes for a nice mold. So I can separate it now and get the pattern out of the mold. You can hear the vibrator that vibrates the pattern, keeps the sand from sticking, or at least it helps. So once I pull the pattern out, then both sides of the sand mold have a cavity in them. So the cores will sit in what they call core prints. That's just basically a piece of the mold that is made specifically to support the core. The core prints, you can see the core prints there, the little skinny ones. That's what holds that center core in. Here's the other side of the mold. So these are actually pretty fragile, so you can't touch them, and you just got to be real careful when you set the cores. These cores don't fit all that well, so it was a little fussing to get them to work properly. You have to, especially the center one, to file it down and make it fit. So all that's supporting that is those little metal tubes. I've got a little staple there that'll support it until the mold is closed. But when that hot air surrounds that core, or hot aluminum surrounds that core, there'll be hot gases, a little bit of steam, and maybe a little smoke from the binder, and that'll all escape through those little tubes instead of trying to force its way through the casting wall and either create porosity or create what they call a blow, which means there's just no metal there. It can almost look like a complete nice casting, but it'll be pushed out, so it's super thin and fragile. There's the top half of the mold. I've pulled I pulled the mold, I pulled the flask off the mold, so it's not on there. It's just got a jacket now, but I'll fill it up with molten aluminum. Probably about 15 minutes later, I can knock it out of the mold. It's still hot, but everything's everything's solidified, so I can knock the sand off. It's pretty warm, so I try not to be fairly careful with it, because the aluminum is actually pretty soft when it's this hot. This one turned out good. So these metal tubes are a little bit of a pain to get out. If I would have used more of the coating, they would probably have come out easier, but I managed to get them out. You can see it's vice grips on there and get them pulled out. But those two little holes are all that vent that core, and those will get threaded, and it's actually going to get water piped into there, hot water from the engine to warm the manifold up. So this is basically just, we can see right there where that riser shrunk back. That'll all get cut off, but that's how much metal it took to feed that casting. So this is basically just a automotive, it's kind of like a rivet gun. It's called an air hammer. You rattle the casting until the sand loosens up and falls out. So depending on how much core binder there is in the sand, it comes out easier than other times. It comes out easier than not. Sometimes you have to sandblast the rest of it out. They cut the gating off and get rid of all that extra metal. The casting actually looks pretty good. It's got some flash on it that'll be ground off and smoothed up. In fact, here it is after I've ground it with a die grinder and smoothed up all the seams, and I shot blasted it with some stainless steel shot to smooth it out. Sitting on the base, I cast also. But a little bit of machine work and it'll be done. A good looking manifold. Probably one of a kind. There might be another one out there or something. I didn't make it, but the fellow that had owned these patterns for years, he had some of them cast a long time ago. That's about it for the video. Thank you for watching.